What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Lumberjack Lifestyle, and on today's episode we are going to be covering the new project car that I just got. So here's a little backstory on this particular project. I had been looking around to get a new project build. I wasn't too sure exactly what I was going to go with. All I knew was that I wanted something different from the RSX and something that I could start from the ground up as well. I was trying to get the most that I could, like most bang before my buck. I was setting myself at about $1,000 budget at buying something that has as much of a head start as possible, meaning the closest to running as possible or in the best conditions that I can find. And luckily, one of my buddies had been looking around to sell one of his cars that he has had for a while, and it just seemed like fate to approach him and ask him about this build, and it turns out he was selling it. And in doing so, I hit him up and we made a deal. Went ahead and went over to his shop, picked up the car, and it is now in my possession, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what that is.
Poof. This is what it is. 240SX SE. 5-speed manual transmission, rear-wheel drive. Hasn't been turned on in ages. And that over there is the big booty hoe. You guys know her already. Alright guys, so here we got the hood, propped off. The hinges on the car itself are pretty much broken off of rest. That's the hood there. Just took it off for easy access. It's missing an intake. Overall, the previous owner said that the car was running as a daily for a long time until it was parked around 2007 and pretty much just been sitting. You could drive for anything at all. Since then, the car has not been turned on, and we don't know the conditions of the inside of the engine. So, first things first, we want to check a few things, preliminary things that we need to take care of prior to starting up the engine, because you don't want to fire it up while the oil has been sitting there for so long. We don't know how bad the conditions are, or if even it has any oil. So, we're just gonna go through some of those steps.
So yes, it is a Nissan 240SX, and I am so super excited to work on it and get it to start drifting. Because the purpose of this entire project, or the purchase of this build, is to build a drift car. I'm not trying to make it look the prettiest at the moment, but I do want it functioning and working and getting it ready to go on the track as soon as possible. Disclaimer, I have never drifted before in my life other than pickup trucks and stuff like that, but like officially learning the drift sport, I have no knowledge or experience whatsoever, so I'm super excited about that. Now at this point, obviously the build is very old and there's a lot of things that are missing. There's a lot of things that are not up to par with a reliable drift car, but having it sit for so long, there's the problems that you might run into with it not actually starting. The previous owner had told me that it did run and that it was in great conditions at that time, and even the AC worked, things that are crazy to know that actually function in an early 90s car such as that 240SX. Well, regardless, we went on to doing a few things to make sure that we got the car running properly. And prior to starting out your engine, it is very crucial that you don't try to start it up with the fluids or maybe non-existing fluids that might not even be there in the engine. So first things you want to do is drain out all the fluids, change out as much as you can within the internals, such as your oil change for the engine, checking your coolant, priming the engine overall, checking your spark wells, making sure that everything is in good conditions to start the vehicle so you don't damage the engine or potentially even catch your car on fire. It's always safest to check. Also, maybe swap out the battery, check the battery terminals, inspect other things such as a fuel pump working or the oil pump working, and all these other things that are part of the engine and what needs to be taken care of prior to starting the car.
Jesus, look at that old oil. Who knows how long that was sitting for? Dino, what you doing? Huh?
Alright guys, so at this point we had already checked all of the preliminary things that we should have taken care of prior to starting out the car. At this point in the video at this point in the build, we have figured that the gas tank was empty, the level wasn't reading on the gauge, and also we stuck in a large tube to check if there was any gasoline in there, opened up the where the fuel pump went inside the tank and found there to not be any fuel. It looked empty, so we went ahead and added gas and tried to fire it up.
Little brother's getting in the car. Got the jump starter hooked up to the battery. It looks real junky. I don't even know what's going to work. Turn it on. Press the jump engine start button. Alright, the car has power. What happened? Hold on, check. Did you turn the key on the on position?
Yeah.
I don't hear the pump going on. Turn it off. Well, the wiper motors work. That's for sure. Little bro's gonna go inside real quick, fire it up. We checked the spark plugs, they're good. Lubed up the cylinder wells, the spark wells. Changed the oil. We add coolant to the radiator. The battery seems good. We can hear the relays working, so. And we just filled up the gas tank too, so put about 2 gallons of gasoline in there. See how it works. Cross your fingers. Try it again. Wait, hold on. It turned off. All right. Go. One last time before we switch it out to the other battery. Give it a go. Nothing? All right, hold on. Let's switch the battery then. All right, it wasn't firing up, so we got some starter fluid. Hopefully this shit gets fired up. Go, fire it up. Try it again. Oh. Almost, son. All right, hold up. All right, let's go. Oh, baby. Woo. Woo. Damn. Stop throttling it. Stop throttling it. Stop. Try it again. Hold on. Let me open up the other door for you.
So at this point we had great news. The car was firing up. It was turning over and cranking. We were spraying in, starter fluid to get it to kind of give it that help and firing up and potentially getting the fuel pump working, etc. Unfortunately, that wasn't working. We ended up further inspecting the fuel tank. Once we took out the fuel level sender, we noticed that there's different crevices within the fuel tank that hold up the gasoline at a lower level prior to actually getting it to the level in which the level sender can send the fuel with the pump. So essentially the 2 gallons of gasoline we put in there weren't enough for the car to fire up right away. So we ended up adding more fuel, and it seemed like it wanted to start, but we said scratch that. Let's do this all over again. Let's completely flush out the tank. Let's take out everything and even clean the tank if possibly prior to adding more gasoline, and see how that went for us.
3 gallons of brisk so far. Holy shit. Oh, damn. She happy. Dude. Anyone want brisk? What's this? Got a bucket and a gallon. Still got more to go. Done. You need a pump? Hit this guy up, man. He's got the pumps. It ain't 3 pumps and he's out. He's here all day.
Ain't no 2 pump jump.
Ain't no 2 pump jump. Damn, guy. Alright, guy. Oh, fuck. Alright, guy. Alright, guy. That was my bad, bro. That was my bad. Alright, Raul. My bad, dude. Yeah, it's because I saw my reflection and I saw a handsome guy. It's nasty. What it looks like. Look at that shit. Oh, it's looking like orange, dude. Yeah. Or brisk iced tea. Alright. Yeah. What's that plastic thing? Yes, caca. That's on there.
Well, although it was a lot of work, we had spent at least 2 or 3 days in a row already working on this car up to this point, trying to get it to start. It unfortunately did not start. We ended up flushing out maybe, I don't know, maybe close to 6-7 gallons of what smelled like horrid chemicals. It's so strong it burned my nostrils. The smell coming from that tank, it smelled like paint thinner, it smelled like gasoline, it smelled like all kinds of flammable stuff. It smelled like anything but gasoline. It was horrible. The scent I think even got us a little happy, you know, per se. But at the end of the night, it didn't fire up, so we ended up going into doing some more research about what could be wrong, you know. But I'll leave that for the next video. I hope you guys liked the video so far. This is only a portion of where I'm at the car so far. I'll leave this as a part 1 and continue on to part 2 in the next video, and hopefully by then you see the car fire up. But stay tuned. I appreciate the love and support. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, turn on notifications so you can see my future posts that are coming out. Till next time, thank you guys. Lumberjack out.